cake decorating, let's start with the tools that you need. You need your chilled cake, you need a turntable, a cake board. I'll be using a large one to cut the cake on and then transferring to this smaller one here. You will need a bench scraper just in case and a variety of offset spatulas. I have Oreo crumbs for my layers. So you're going to start with unwrapping all of your chilled cakes and cutting down the middle carefully. And you'll do this for each cake. For some cakes, you will trim off the excess to help level your cake. And now I'm going to remove the large cake board and take my icing. And I'm going to place a dollop of icing on the turntable so my smaller cake board can stick to it. Then, after that, I will go ahead and place another dollop on top of the cake board itself to help the cake stick to the board. This will prevent any slipping on the turntable as well as the cake board. Okay, so we're going to start with our layers. You're going to spread some icing on top of the cake, and you don't need to go crazy or heavy because this will be a tall cake, so you don't want too much icing. And you'll also notice that I didn't spread the icing onto the edges because once you use your spatula to even out the icing, it will get to the edges. Just make sure to utilize your turntable to ensure that your icing is leveled and ready for the next layer. Alright, now I'm going to add Oreo crumbs, which is optional. You don't have to do that if you don't have it on hand. And then I'm going to place another cake on top and continue with icing the top of the cake. Again, do not bring your icing all the way out to the edges because your spatula, again, once you do even out the icing, will help distribute that to the edge. And I'm going to continue just adding my Oreo layers, adding another cake and some icing on top. Sometimes I do like to put the icing on the side to help fill in any gaps that may have occurred. So I flipped this layer over only because this side was a lot flatter and it will be better for the last layer when I do place it on top. Okay, so I did start placing icing where there were any gaps in between the layers to help stabilize the cake before I place my last cake layer on top. Alright, for better coverage, I did go ahead and switch over to my larger offset spatula for smoothing out the sides of the cake. Alright, so I am still filling in cracks in the layers, and yes, I did run out of icing, so I smoothed out what I could, and then I went ahead and placed my final layer of Oreo crumbs as well as a cake on top before I went off to make more icing. Alright, I'm back again. I ran out of cocoa powder, of course, so vanilla icing it is, and we are turning this into a vanilla chocolate ombre cake. No big deal. Okay, so I am now just adding the finishing touches of the icing, again filling in any cracks in between the layers and smoothing it out. I decided to keep this as a naked cake and make it into a geode type of design, which you will see in a minute. And I am just again smoothing out the top. It doesn't have to be perfect. Naked cakes are meant to be more rustic looking. Okay, so the next day, just to finish off the cake, I did go ahead and remove chunks of the cake in order to put my honeycomb brittle inside, and this is going to mimic the natural rock formation look. I didn't have any edible crystals, so I went ahead and made some honeycomb brittle, and it was just whatever I had on hand at the moment. Alright, and here we have the finished honeycomb brittle geode cake. I hope you enjoyed. This was 7 layers of chocolate cake with chocolate icing, vanilla icing, and Oreo crumbs in between. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.